Good morning and welcome back to my channel. This is the Sleepless Talk podcast, and today's topic would be false sexual allegation charges. Now, this situation occurred at Columbia University, which is located on the Upper West Side of Manhattan in New York City. It's a private Ivy League research university, very reputable. However, what took place there was quite alarming and concerning. Now, first and foremost, before I even get into the video, I'd like to say thank you guys for your support. I appreciate it. The numbers on the videos have been going up. I went from 0 to almost 20 subscribers. So I'm really excited about that. Thank you so much for your continued support. Now back to the video. So here we have a situation, like I said, that occurred at Columbia University, though specifically it's an off-campus housing location where the incident took place, and it involves two students who both presumably attend Columbia University, with one being confirmed for sure. I believe the other one is too. So the student, right, before we even get into it, I'm gonna, like, as far as the lady's identification of who she is, this is the video, and it's quite shocking. So we're gonna go ahead and press play and then watch what took place.
Point that camera at me one more time. I'm calling the cops.
Call the cops.
For sexual harassment.
Okay.
Police. 323. Yeah, hello. The other student. It is. It's an apartment. It's A1. Yes. It's on the first floor. Correct. There is a housemate who sexually harassed me previously and who's now pointing a camera at me at close proximity and making me feel very uncomfortable and trying to use my stuff. It is. Yes. Yes. Okay, thank you.
So that was the clip, and to offer a bit of context, right? Apparently there's been kind of a disagreement in the past. They weren't getting along, and I'll get more into that. There's the young man posted a GoFundMe, which I will also share in the link in the description, which you guys could check out. And if you feel like supporting the young man, that'd be greatly appreciated. But what I really wanted to talk about was how disturbing it is, really, that some people feel the need to weaponize sexual allegations and use them in this manner. Sexual allegations are a very serious problem, okay? And they should never be taken lightly, because it disrespects the people who've actually been assaulted, who've been victims, to people who engage in that type of activity. And so to see people who behave this way, and it's really heartbreaking. And I think there should be consequences, both at the university level and at a legal level as well, because this type of behavior needs to be curbed. It's important because it can ruin an individual. It can ruin an individual's focus, social environment. And so it's really heartbreaking to see people who do this. Now, the young lady's name, right? This is her right here. This is a picture of her profile. And her name is Mila Jovanovic. And like I said, she's a student at Columbia University. Now, when you have these types of people, these Karens who feel entitled to behave this way, it's really disturbing. I mean, you can even see the young, and I guess this is the young lady here, the young Asian lady, is a friend of the individual's recording, and he thought to record just to save himself and to kind of, you know, protect himself, because I think that's a necessary step nowadays when you encounter these kind of people who are irrational, right? Because and I've lived on campus before with a lot of friends, a lot of roommates and stuff, so it's never really been an issue. It's easy to get along. So I don't understand why it needed to escalate to this point, to where the police are being called and he's being threatened. And I believe they gave an update, and he did not get arrested, thankfully, right? So that did not happen. But here is this is the young man's GoFundMe. It was taken down earlier. I think it was having to do with how the event was described, and but anyway, they repealed it, and so now it's back up and running. The young man's name is Menkovich Lazar, and this is what he had to say in regards to the situation, and it's completely nuts, right? So he says, I moved into an apartment on January 1st to study at a university in New York. Initially, my female roommate and I got along well, but our relationship quickly turned sour due to differences regarding cleanliness and organization. Issues included dirty dishes, fungus, fecal matter, and trash, among other things. Fecal matter. Unbelievable. One day, said roommate left dog feces in the kitchen, and when I inquired about it, she cursed at me and told me she'd never speak to me again. I mean, I don't understand how you can even get mad, assuming what this gentleman is saying is true. But I mean, based on the reaction that I saw in that video, his cool, calm, and composure, and how he was recording it and just staying calm, yet being assertive and not afraid. Somebody is in the wrong. They do not want authorities to be alerted. They don't want to be around police officers, campus police or whatnot. But the fact, I felt like his demeanor was very stoic, and I don't think the young man is guilty at all. And the other young woman, to me, it appears as though she's a bit erratic. Even in her description, she's touching my stuff, this and that. And boundaries are important. But then when you hear the other side of the story, when somebody's saying, the roommate's dog left feces in the kitchen at that, it's, how can you not be addressed and be remorseful initially at this approach? I mean, this is unacceptable, and I've dealt with some roommates who kind of behaved in an irrational manner, not necessarily like where it was rude and they were apprehensive or anything like that, but just seeing them do certain things that I felt was not very cleansy, right? And to give a bit of a little context to that, I had a roommate once who we had a problem with the sink. Right, we were dorming. We had 4 rooms, so 4 students. We had a public area where we had a kitchen, and then we had a living room area, and our kitchen was having some issues, right? So it was a bit clogged up. So we put an order in, or I called and put the order in. And so they were due to come within the next 2 days, or perhaps the following day. My roommate took it upon himself to try to fix the issue on his own, which admirable, right? Cool, no problem. But then he decided to do so with a toilet plunger. And I caught him as he was about to do it and stuff, and I was like, no, what are you doing? You cannot use a toilet plunger to, try to unclog the kitchen sink. And it was like, well, no, don't worry, I'm gonna clean it, I'm gonna bleach. It's just like, bro, you can't do that, my friend. That's just, you cannot do that. You can't do that. Please don't do that. And so just communicating with him, we were able to resolve the issue, and he just, put the plunger away. I was shocked because I wouldn't even think of that, but I wasn't being judgmental. I just had to prevent it, and that's it, through communication, and we went on about our business. So the fact that they're having similar issues, and I get it, students are young. Perhaps this is the first opportunity where they've lived on their own. I haven't. I've done so for a while now, even before attending college. So I totally understand why they may be a little bit of high intentioned, but this is not okay. I mean, you're a college student. You should be mature and old enough to resolve your disputes in a healthy and amicable way. as opposed to this. But then, of course, things happen. But this is irrational. Having your dog leave feces in the kitchen, I mean, anybody would be upset and disturbed about that. But anyhow, let's continue. A few days later, I received a phone call from the landlord saying that my roommate was accusing me of sexual assault. Now, that's interesting, right? That's interesting. If you're a victim of sexual assault, sexual harassment, why would you call your landlord? Right? Does he have the power to what, arrest the individual or to press criminal charges on your behalf? Absolutely not. Or process criminal charges on your behalf. He can't. So the fact that she called the landlord to say this, me being a rational person, I think it's an effort to get him out, right? To say that he's a threat, he poses a problem, and so forth, and he's a problem to he's a threat to my safety, right? In one of the worst ways possible. And so I think those were her efforts to kind of get him removed from staying there. So the young man states afterwards, I immediately called an attorney. However, not much could be done since there were no formal proceedings. Now, if I were him, I would have been pushing for more. I mean, it's good on him that he called an attorney, but with people like this, you have to be very careful, okay? You have to be very adamant about yourself and, more importantly, protecting yourself, right? Because you don't want to get caught up in a case and then it's vice versa and it becomes a big ordeal. Like, you have to protect yourself. So anyway, I believe her goal was to get me to move out by weaponizing her sexuality. My only option was to avoid her, so I did. During this period, she would play the television at maximum volume above my room, knock on my door, and run away, and purposely stomp and slam doors and cabinets, seemingly to antagonize me. I did my best to ignore her until a few days ago, when I was attempting to make dinner for a friend and myself. Mila came into the kitchen, full of anger and rage, so I started recording her. This resulted in her calling the police for sexual harassment. The police did not show up, and as of now, nothing has happened, and I am waiting on the report. My goal now is to move out to a healthier environment without the prospect of a problematic roommate. So I guess having called the landlord, right? Having called the landlord did not work. The young man was not removed from the premises. He still attended there. This was the additional step to actually involve law enforcement. I mean, and if the police did not take the charge or, if the police did not come or show up, I mean, that in itself, I don't know why that's the case. Usually a claim like that will be investigated regardless. So I don't know how that played out or why the police did not show up. But yeah, so here it is. The young man is trying to raise $5,000 in order to secure a healthier living environment where, he doesn't have to deal with, this type of stuff, because it could really jeopardize your education. It could jeopardize your focus as well and your freedom. So it's important to be strong, to be, wary, and to be careful. So this is just like one of the clips where I just wanted to talk to you guys about and get your thoughts on this, because I think it's wrong, right? It's disturbing, and I really don't like how this whole situation has also been like racialized in a way. And I'll give you an example, right? So here we have, there was a certain quote, right? Because you have obviously Twitter responses and stuff like that, but look at one of the posts, right? Somebody says, she clearly said he sexually harassed her in the past and is not pointing a camera at her. He obviously has a history of unwanted, inappropriate contact with her. Not surprising, given his demographic, 60% of violent crimes. Now, what's interesting, right? What's interesting is that this poster and many people who think like that automatically assume that this individual who's recording is of a particular demographic, right? And this rhetoric that we constantly hear, 60% of violent crimes, is often used to denigrate and undermine people of the African American community, right? But yet when we look at the actual GoFunding, right? The man is Mankovich Lazar. Now you tell me how many African Americans you know with a name like this, Mankovich Lazar. Yet the bigotry, right? The bigotry that these people have succumbed to allow them to live in this delusional reality where everything is about like victimhood and fragility and pointing the fingers at people of other races rather than taking into account like, hey, let's think critically about the situation. You know, what is really going on? Let's find out more information. Let's hear both sides. There's none of that, right? Instead, they just jump and point fingers at people they don't like. And I think that's really disturbing, and it's part of the problem. It's part of the problem. One of the other videos that I had posted that did pretty well, and I'm gonna go ahead and drop it in the description below if you guys haven't seen it and want to check it out. But it was about the man that was being accosted and insulted and denigrated, and he suffered tremendously as he was being insulted by these people, out in Nevada. These racists, were telling him they were gonna hang him by a tree, and undermining him, just pushing him around, and all sorts of depravity took place. And yes, he was a victim, and fortunately for him, he's doing much better now. Kudos to him for keeping his head up. He went through a very disturbing moment, right, where he was being mocked, and yeah, man, like being told, go down there, there's a tree where we hang people like you, and so forth. So again, when it comes to the topic of racism, where it comes to this, and when I say racism, what this person right here is insinuating is perpetuating racism, right? And having these negative stereotypes of other people, right? And that's completely wrong. And it's still real. People have to be aware of that. And even here, look at this. Black men are notorious for sexual assault. That's completely ludicrous. And it's blatant racism that you can sit here and state this type of stuff. Like, it's wrong. But of course, people like this don't care. They just want to perpetuate hate and racism, right? And for the people who sit here and do things like this and weaponize, sexual harassment charges against other people, it's completely abhorrent. It's abhorrent, and I think there should be some type of formal punishment set in place to prevent people, as a deterrence, to prevent people from feeling like they can do that, for feeling that they could put somebody through that ordeal, somebody who's innocent at that. It's completely wrong, and it's completely unacceptable. So yeah, you guys let me know what you think in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like, subscribe, comment, share, and hit the notification bell. And yeah, man, I just want to hear your thoughts and opinions. Have you heard of people who had similar experiences? Have you had similar experiences with people who are, behaving in this way as Miss Miller over here, Jovanovich, was acting? And what are your thoughts in combating people who weaponize, sexual assault charges against people who are clearly innocent? Again, I look forward to hearing it all. Please let me know. Until then, you guys have a good one. Stay blessed.